Hey, welcome to Read It on Reddit. Where, you guessed it, I read it on Reddit. Today we have Entitled Parents, where Entitled Mom wants OP to give her $50 tip to Entitled Kid. So I work at a very busy restaurant. We get loads of customers every day. Bear in mind this is pre-pandemic. Anyways, onto the story. So I try to be as professional as I can at work, but sometimes I also try to slip in some humor to keep the mood up. So I put on a little show for a group of people after I have delivered their order. Everything seems fine until the EM and her son walk in. I already felt uneasy by their presence as the mother didn't look like she was in her best mood. So I keep on doing my work for about 10 minutes before I go to the group again to clean up their table, and all of them gave me about $50 tip for putting up a good show. Unfortunately, the EM noticed my huge tip, and as always, she was hungry for some cash. After the group had left and I was wiping their table when the EM and her son comes up to me with the fakest smile I have ever seen in my 16 years. EM, hey, how are you? Me, hey, I am good thanks. EM, I saw that you got a pretty hefty tip there. Me, yeah, I know. I'm pretty surprised myself, hehe. EM, well, you surely don't need that money, you're so young, your parents are probably buying you everything you need. But my son here could use that money as he really wants this new video game. So would you be so kind to give him the money? You don't need it anyway. At this point, I was dumbfounded. Did this bitch really ask me to give her son my tip? I work in a restaurant to save up for when I need to rent an apartment for university. Me, no. That's not going to happen. I actually need this money. EM, no you don't, your parents can just give you the money. You don't need it at all, and you need to listen to your elders, so hand it over, young man. Yes, she literally said that. I do have a bad temper and I can get annoyed pretty fast, so right now I was fuming, but I didn't want to lose my job, so I kept as calm as possible and told her in a very toxic way. Me, well, if he really wants that game, go buy it for him and don't come here on your knees begging for money. Now I will keep this tip and you can fuck off, please. The manager heard my argument with this bitch, and as always, she instantly ran up to him saying that I stole her money and demanding that I get fired on the spot. I have a somewhat good relationship with my manager, so I'm not too worried. OP, care to explain why she is saying that you stole her money? Me, well, I didn't steal anything from her, I got this money as a tip and she came up to me wanting. EM, cutting me off? That's bullshit. He just grabbed the money out of my hands. Calm down ma'am, let OP speak. The manager was visibly annoyed by now and I was about to explode. We continued to fight about it for a good minute or so before one guy from the group came over. They were outside smoking. Cool dude, hey, sorry for interrupting, but I can confirm that the money is OP's. We gave him that tip for being a good waiter. Well, I guess that sorts it. Ma'am, would you be so kind to get out of my restaurant and don't come back? The entitled mother gave me a death glare, but I just smiled and giggled in her face as she stormed off with her kid hanging after. That feeling when she knew she lost was the best feeling ever. I also got the rest of the day off for the hassle. Next story is, give my son a university tour. Right now. And write him a rec letter. Sigh. This happened about half a month ago, but I had entirely forgotten about it until my friend cracked a joke, so here I am. I, 19, non-binary, go to a pretty good public university. We're considered a public Ivy and have a ton of history, so we're pretty reputable, especially with certain majors. I'm a freshman who moved on campus. Most of my classes are online, but I have one in-person class, and I also leave the dorm multiple times daily for errands such as getting food, picking up mail, studying at the library, etc. It was one of those days where I had to run a lot of errands, particularly, I'm picking up a package with terracotta pots inside, since I'm planning to repot some of my plants at the start of spring. I have a giant box in my hands and bulky headphones on, and I'm walking back to my dorm while listening to Mitski. This is where the hilarity ensues. A mom and her son, some scrawny teen who I initially brushed off as a 12-year-old, were looking around. They were standing in front of a coffee shop on campus nearby the post office, and I initially thought they were lost, so I walked over. Me, hey, you guys need help getting somewhere? The mom and her kid look at me, pretty relieved. Mom, we're looking for the expensive, hard to get into freshman dorm building. My son is living there next year. Me, oh. Did he get in? Congra. Mom, not yet, but he will. We have paid good money. Okay. That confused me and I just remember blinking and assuming I heard her wrong. Whatever. Me, the hall is roughly in that direction, if you keep walking straight. Mom, take us there. She didn't say please or could you, she just ordered me to help her. I was confused and my arms hurt from holding a giant box of pots, and I had to stare at her for a moment before I could respond. Me, sorry but I'm heading the opposite direction. Mom, you could use the exercise. Small note that I'm underweight so this isn't a jab at my weight. Me, I really can't, I need to get back. Mom, right now, come on. We couldn't get a tour due to the COVID regulations, so you're going to help us. At this point I'm just done and have quickly realized oh hey. This woman is crazy. And I'm looking back towards the general direction of my dorm while my twig arms are shaking and my face is flushed red from both embarrassment and exhaustion. I'm not in shape since I have a couple of fun chronic health issues I'm facing right now, which doesn't help. Me, I really can't, it's an emergency. Mom, well can you at least write my son a letter? Me, visibly fuming at this point, a letter? A fucking son, Mom, no. Mom, it will help him get in if a current student writes it. We have one from his teachers but we can always send it to admissions. Me, no, that's not how it. The mom just didn't listen and she took out some weird notepad from her pocket and wrote down her email for me, telling me to write it without the name and to just let her know when I finished and she would embellish it. Thank God the family left shortly after, and I made it back to my room without breaking my pots. I collapsed into my pillow, screamed a string of profanities, made hot chocolate and took an hour-long stress nap following this. I legitimately had never had an entitled parent experience worth sharing until then. Next story is, Star Wars Entitled Mom. Short funny little story. I don't know why, but I randomly thought of this encounter I had like 20 years ago. I was like 7 or 8 years old and had been begging my mom to buy me this one Star Wars toy that was, I think, a Micro Machines version of the Hoth battle. She finally agreed to buy it for me and so we went to Toys R Us. We went into the store and I immediately sprinted to the Star Wars section while my mom and sister stopped to look at some other stuff. There was a woman standing there looking through other Star Wars things. I went to the section where the toy I wanted should be, but it was all sold out. I started looking on other shelves and I found it. I was so excited I probably shouted or something, but before I knew it that woman came up to me and said hey, I was here first looking for that exact toy for my son. It's not fair that you came up second and got it. You need to give it to me now. I was shocked and a little scared and handed it over without saying anything. She left and I never got that toy. Next story is, my dad complains constantly about my cake decorating hobby, yet thinks he's entitled to all the leftovers. So my mom and I decorate cakes together. My dad will always complain the whole process and yell at us the whole time. Every single time we make a cake, he will tell us that we are never to make another cake again because he hates the stress. Remember, it's not even him decorating it. My mom and I decorate the cakes and bake them. I suffer with anxiety and depression. One year I spent my hard-earned money, as well as hours designing, baking, and decorating my birthday cake. Yes, I made my own birthday cake. It's relaxing, but no one was going to buy me one or make one, and we celebrated with family. There was about half of the cake left and I figured I could save some and enjoy small pieces over the next week. The next day, I woke up and my dad had already left for work with the rest of my cake. He took every last crumb to share with his work friends over coffee, and didn't even think to leave me one piece. My birthday cake. He didn't even ask. This has happened so many times. I will spend hours designing, baking, and decorating, and he just takes the rest without even asking. I even have told him that he can take some, but to leave me some to take to work as well. He then gets upset and guilt trips me, making me feel selfish for wanting to share my hard work with my friends after putting up with hours or days, sometimes even weeks before the event, of him getting angry and complaining constantly about my cake making. It's not even his birthday cake. I've made him birthday cakes before, but he will do this to any cake I make. Edit. Thank you so much for all the responses and awards. I thought it was only a boring short story and didn't even imagine I would get even 100 people respond. This is overwhelming. Just to clarify a few things. I moved out. I just decorate cakes with my mom at their house. My parents' relationship is complicated and they have been through a lot. Please stop making comments about my mom staying with my dad. It's a lot more complicated and you only know one small aspect of the relationship. That's their business. I'm not going to put bad things in my cakes, nor make multiples. I don't think you quite understand how much time, energy, and work goes into a cake. It's not just baking and slapping some icing on. Think more cakes that have more elaborate decorations. One wedding cake we made had their favorite video game theme and stood close to 1 meter tall. They're elaborate. You can't just make multiple, nor would I waste a cake by sabotaging it.